In today's podcast, we're going to be discussing how powerhouse women attract that powerhouse level love. Because if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably done with the current dating scene. You're thinking to yourself, never again. Like, no more dating guys who just aren't at your level. Like, you're getting out there. You're the type of person who is just a powerhouse in your life, but you're kind of done, like, slumming it with these guys out there. And look, we've heard it all from like the thousands of clients we've worked with over the years. And we're really here to provide you with some key strategies you can use to attract that level love that you're looking for. Gary, what a podcast topic. I'm ready to rock and roll.
I love this. So many of our clients are so successful. And I'll be honest, I just like being around them. I like talking to them. I like hearing their worldviews. They're so incredibly, I feel like I learn so much from our clients. But what I also hear from them is that they are sick and tired of feeling like they're scaring men away. A lot of them say, I feel too masculine. People tell me I'm too masculine. People tell me I'm too this, I'm too that. But I think most of all, and what really underlies a lot of it is they're just feeling kind of adrift, alone. Like they have this amazing life in so many ways, and it feels so unfair that they don't have somebody by their side to share it with. And so I think that's such an important knot to untie. And what we're going to do in today's podcast is discuss some of the secrets of how to date as a super successful woman. Specifically, how to think about your calendar, how to be fully yourself without dimming your light, watering yourself down, and how to have better conversations about work.
Yeah, because Gary and I, for the past, what has it been, 2.5 years, we started this secret little project where we take a select few number of our clients in our main program called Love Accelerator, and we move them into this new program we have called Lux. And what happens is every 3 to 4 months, everyone flies in, typically to Boston. We get together and spend a lot of time with these powerhouse women and focus on powerhouse love. And Gary, it's so interesting thinking back when we first started our ideas about this program and where it's evolved to now. But what I've found coming out of this is that these clients that we work with, they just have a different set of expectations about relationships in their life and what they want. But at the core of it, they need to be able to make time for love, That's so much of what we talk about is making time.
Yeah, and I think, they're operating at a different level. Their challenges are a little bit different. Because I think, when we talk about powerhouse love, it's not about career success or, power couples taking over the world. It's about building a true partnership. And I think sometimes that's what people feel like they're missing. They're missing those meaningful connections. And what they're looking for is that synergistic connection where it's more about how you are together with somebody than who you are apart. It's about having two amazing parts who get to share their life with each other. And that can feel really tough to navigate when you're trying to accomplish all of that on top of managing a busy, successful career.
Yeah. So today we're going to be diving into 6 ways to attract powerhouse love based on our experience with working with literally hundreds of some of the most powerful women on the planet and guiding them to what we would consider and they would consider to be powerhouse love. So let's just jump into the first one to just deliver some value. And this is probably, like I said, the biggest thing we find with these clients is just making relationships a priority. And here's the kicker of it all, because I want to relate to those powerhouse women listening right now who are like, I want to make it a priority, but I'm really, really busy with my career. I got a lot going on. When you make your love life a priority, it will actually make you more successful at your career. Right, Gary? We talk about that all the time with Lux.
Easily more successful. And it's like our clients say, is this a priority? Okay, well, how? How are you showing that this is a priority? Well, I can't because I got this and I got this and this deal's closing and I got this thing and that. It's like, okay, but once I do all that, then I'll be ready. No, that's not how it goes. Because they're like, but I need to get my success in place before I can address this other thing about relationships. And it's like, no. Relationships aren't the other thing. Your relationships are the thing. Because the research is abundantly clear. Relationship success leads to greater career success. And there's data out there on increased earnings, increased satisfaction with your job and career. There's so much that your relationship brings to the table. And in many ways, it creates this focusing effect where now you have your relationship in place, your priorities get crystal clear, and it doesn't make your career less important. It's like, oh, no, it's more important in many ways because it supports the relationship. And there's this like symbiotic relationship between those two things.
Yeah. I mean, dating takes a lot of cognitive energy. It takes a lot of not only time, but also just it fills your mind constantly with the thoughts of, why isn't that guy responding to me? Or am I going out with John or Jacob on Thursday night? Who am I going out with again? What is his whole story? I got to keep that in mind. It takes up a lot of our mental bandwidth. And what I find with a lot of really powerhouse women is they kind of elongate that process because they try to do both at the same time. Like they're trying to grow their careers and continue to travel through Europe for a month while then getting back and leading a Fortune 500 company, while at the same time also kind of date, rather than just take a bit of a pause on growth in that area of their life when it comes to their career and travel. Just take a small pause in the sense of giving yourself the energy to focus, like 100% focus on this area of your life. And then it might feel like you're taking a couple steps backward, and in some way you are, but that is to take 5, 10, 20 steps forward when you're with the right person. Because when you're with the right guy, he's going to support you. He's going to be your kind of cheerleader. You'll be his cheerleader. You also have the financial alignment with two partners being able to contribute financially. But the biggest, I think, relief is not having to think about this stuff anymore when it comes to dating. Now, relationships still bring their own set of challenges always, but dating in particular just gives you a lot of cognitive load. So it's like, if you're going to take that on, do it fully, wholeheartedly, and really focus, even at the expense of perhaps your career for the next 6 months. Like, if it takes 6 months or to a year to focus in this area of your life, so that the next 30 years of your life are the most incredible, successful years, it's totally worth it, in my opinion. But I'm biased, Gary.
Well, I mean, 6 months for 30 years, that's a hell of a return on investment, right? I mean, like, that's a drop in the bucket compared to the long game that you really should be thinking about. So many of our clients, we have nurses, teachers, lawyers, doctors, CEOs, financial advisors, like literally every kind of high power, a lot of realtors, right? Just a lot of things that it's like, yes, those occupations, those careers can take up literally all of your time if you let them, but it doesn't need to take up all of your time. And clients will say, no, this is a priority. And I was like, okay, that's great. But what we know in psychology is it's not your words, it's your behaviors that reveal your priorities. So it's not what you say, it's what you do. And so what I know of every successful person is your calendar actually reveals your priorities. Take a look at your calendar, open up the app on your phone, whatever it is. Anything that's important gets on there. So if relationships are important, you need to get it on there. Put it on your calendar, right? And some people say, oh, I don't have time to just be on the apps all day. Well, you shouldn't be on the apps all day. Like we tell our clients all the time, schedule 30 minutes. That's it. 30 minutes you go through, do your thing, then that's it. Schedule like you schedule anything else, right? Because what's important in your life, you make room for. If you had a critical meeting with somebody in your career that needed to get on your calendar that said, hey, I need 30 minutes, would you find time in your calendar? Yeah, you absolutely would. You have to, right? And so it's the same thing with dating. We have to stop being so myopic and just focusing on what we have to do with the little maintenance things today and really think long term. You're a visionary. Be visionary about your love life.
I love that. I'm a calendar guy, but I'm also a big task list guy. I have my tasks, my big 3 of the day. It's all super organized. I use a tool called Asana for those who are in project management. There's also Trello, you name it, whatever. But one thing I started doing, Gary, that has really helped me over the last 3 to 4 years is I have my column for my professional task list, but I also have a column for my health and fitness. So are there certain, for example, this morning I got my blood work done. I'm part of this program where I get my blood work done every 3 months to just stay in line with that stuff. So that's part of my task list there. I also have my relationships task list, and it's not just romantic. Of course, Jessica's in there, but my family and parents and like how I want to spend my time. And it's right next to professional because in my eyes, it's equal to, or in many ways, greater than those other things. And it just keeps it front and center. So I would suggest anyone who's listening to this, like at a minimum, have your calendar, do a calendar audit, but also just look at your task list. What are you focusing on every single day? And if you're single and looking for love, you better have a dating column in that task list. Like there better be a dating column. I want a little card or a little task for every guy that you're talking to and just have it front and center that you're working on. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that is how you stay focused in this area of your life.
And I think it's just important to remind yourself that this is what you need to do for now. And here's the thing, if you do this well, if you do this right, if you do this in many of the ways that we suggest, you're never gonna have to worry about all this dating stuff ever again. That's the goal. It's not just finding anybody, it's finding the right person. So you never have to look at the apps again once you found your person, right? And like, that's the goal. I think the other big thing, with Powerhouse, love, and all this is one of the big concerns I hear from clients is, this is who I am, and I don't want to hide or diminish who I am. And that's great. We would never suggest otherwise. And so we say to clients all the time, do not diminish or shrink yourself. You're great, accomplished, successful, all that good stuff. Do not run from that. The right guy is going to be impressed and proud, not intimidated. The right guy is going to fully celebrate and cherish every aspect of that. Every aspect. Okay. Now that's set. So do not diminish, but at the same time, and Adam, you put this in our notes and I love this. Business isn't beautiful. What does that mean?
Business isn't beautiful. You're so much more than just your success. And something Gary says a lot is, and the psychology and research support this, is we can have different identities depending on what situation we're in and who we're interacting with. So if we bring our corporate side or our business side to every date, and that is our core identity that we lead with, that's not very hot. I got to say, just the same way, if you go out with a guy and he's talking about the TPS reports and everything he does at his job, and he's going through his daily task list with you and telling you how he, audits different organizational structures, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm going home. I can't wait to get some ice cream and just sit on the couch and get away from this guy. It's the same thing because that's not how attraction is built. It's not based on what it is. Your LinkedIn profile is not going to lead him into the bedroom with you. All right. It's just not. In the same way, vice versa. So let's not bring our business side out to the day. I'm really riffing here. I'm going way off notes, everyone. So, but your LinkedIn profile is not your dating profile. It's a very different side of you. And so not to say you need to hide it or diminish it, like Gary said, but it's not something we want to lead with.
I love that. Sorry, go. The LinkedIn profile thing gets me because how often, and we talked about this at our last retreat, is like your guy is looking for a relationship partner, not a business partner. And you're looking for the same thing. So if a guy was kind of giving you all the facts and figures you could figure out from a LinkedIn profile, you'll politely listen, but this isn't building connection. This isn't warmth. This isn't anything that suggests anything about long-term relationship ability. So let's not do the same thing. And so this isn't diminishing who you are. It's an issue of order, not that we're leaving it out. So it's not about omitting it. It's about the order in which we present these things. And so when you're out on a date, number one job, have fun. Get to know the guy. This is not about sharing your resume, sharing your success, making it super clear that he knows how amazing and successful you are. That's not the goal. Is this guy cool? Like, do we have like a good chemistry? Like, is there good emotional chemistry between us? Is he interesting? Does this seem like somebody I want to spend more time with? It's not about LinkedIn profiles, right? It's about, just getting to know human to human, right? Little personal contact.
It doesn't elicit emotion. I've never looked at someone's resume and gotten like butterflies in my stomach. I don't care. I don't care what position we're hiring for or what we're doing. It doesn't do it for me.
Have you seen my resume? It's a pretty mate.
Oh, except for yours, Gary. Straight to the bedroom, baby. Oh my God, let's go. But it's really true. Like the true connections come from, how it is that he makes you feel and how you make him feel. It's the old Maya Angelou quote, which is people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. And if he's coming out of that date thinking, wow, she is a VP of sales at this large corporation, that's not really going to be a win. If he comes out of that thinking, wow, she's really funny, charming, asked me a lot of really interesting questions, I got to know her, that's a win. That's a first date win. Not to say on the second, third date, yeah, of course you're going to talk about all that stuff because it's one part of your identity, but it's not the leading identity, which I think leads well to the next point, which is such an important one. And this is something we talk about so much with our true winners in our client base, which is winners don't tend to need a press release. Like you don't have to go around proving what it is that you've already done. Because my experience has always been the true winners in life who have done really big things don't go around with a billboard or a press release trying to tell every single person about all of the amazing accomplishments that they've done. We've all met the guys, now just to relate to the ladies, who've gone on the first date and try to tell you how impressive they are and how much of a winner they are. And you're sitting there across from this guy thinking to yourself, this guy's such a loser, right? Like the fact that he has to tell me all of these things about himself, you're thinking to yourself, how insecure is this guy that he has to do this? Because you know intuitively winners don't narrate their own stories. Right? They don't go around talking about, you're not going to write the book about yourself. Right. Most people don't do that. It doesn't make sense, especially in dating context.
It feels needy. It feels attention seeking. It feels honestly insecure. Every time I've ever encountered somebody who spends time telling me how amazing they are, I immediately just flip to, wow, they're not secure with who they are. They're not very confident, because if you're confident, you know who you are, you act like you've been there. It's not, I don't know, when you start telling people about success, it's like you're surprised by it and they need to know, or it's fleeting and this might be the only time you're successful. Whereas if you just expect to be successful and it's not, it should feel natural, inevitable, obvious, expected. Because here's the thing with dating, people will appreciate the cool, amazing facts about you that they uncover versus the ones that you share, right? You have all this like cool stuff you've done and you don't bring it up. You just kind of get to know them. But then like date 2 or 3, something comes up and you just kind of casually mention, your trips to Shanghai or Paris for this really major project you're working on. And he's gonna be like, wait, what? You waited until date 3 to tell me this amazing stuff? Now, you know what this builds? Intrigue. Because he's thinking, he can't help but think, what else do I not know? There's got to be more. She held that back. And it's so important in so many ways to hold back on a lot of what you do for work, because psychologically humans are lazy. We are cognitively misers, and we take the first little bit of information we get about somebody and then we extrapolate beyond that to make a bunch of assumptions. Like Adam was using the example before, VP of sales. If that's one of the first things you tell a guy, all of a sudden, all of his stereotypes about VPs and salespeople start flooding his mind. He's like, oh, she's like this. She must be like this. She must be like this. And none of that's fair. It's not fair, but it is what we do. You do the same thing. When he tells you he's in marketing, you're like, okay. Or he's in finance. You see dollar signs. Like, it's just what we do as humans. And so we just got to be strategic about it. We got to be strategic about what we share and how we share. Because guys are going to say, what do you do for work? Don't take the bait. I'd rather not talk about that. We can talk about that later. We don't have to talk about that now. I help to make the world a better, you make it something general. There's a bunch of ways to kind of dodge that question, but like, don't take the bait.
I mean, I've said this before, but I'll share it to new listeners. When I met my wife, I met her on New Year's Day over 10 years ago. And we never talked about what I did for work. By the way, I was a dating coach, still running this company back then. And by the end of the second date, she didn't know what I did. It was like, yeah, I'm a writer. I write about, and I never lied. I'll talk about relationships and stuff like that. But honestly, she wasn't even asking about it. It was so much about just our connection and getting to know each other. She was trying to judge my character and whether I was a respectful man and I was interested in her. And I was frankly, doing the same as well, learning more about what she sees in her future, and you name it. The things that matter in relationships, that's what we're focusing on. And then it was like the third time we met, that was where I was like, hey, I feel like we got to like talk about what I do. And she's like, oh my God, you have a YouTube channel? Oh my God, you have this out? Oh my God. And then she went down the rabbit hole with her mom about all this stuff. You know, me wearing a wig on YouTube with like, whatever, like
I would love a video of that. I would love to see the video of Jess and her mom watching your wig wearing YouTube.
Oh, bad. But the point of this is, this sounds like this is about me. It's the point is, if I had led with that, I guarantee there's heavy extrapolation that would come from her thinking, oh my God, she would immediately go down the rabbit hole. I probably wouldn't have gotten the first date because she'd be like, what is this dude all about? She'd probably hear something I said on one of those videos. She's like, oh, like, come on, it's this garbage or whatever. And it just wouldn't happen. And I'm glad that it played out that way. I think that that's really important. And I will say that took me a while to figure that out, to navigate that. Because when I was single, like I was a dating coach, I was helping women. So I was literally trying to date my target audience at the time. Like, talk about that. That's a little bit difficult. So I don't know. That's kind of where I landed. It's weird.
Yeah, well, you know, I think it's tough because for so many of us, there's two things we do more than anything in life: sleep, go to work. And so it's so enticing to make our work conversation be the entire way that we know ourselves, quite honestly, and then how we then relate to other people. And so, you know, I don't have a parallel story, but it's like when people ask me what I do, it really depends on the context. A lot of times I'll say, you know, I teach statistics.
Nerd alert.
Very different. Like, it's like, you know, because it's like if I'm out at a bar or like somewhere social, and it's like, I don't necessarily want to always give people relationship and love advice. And so it's like, what do you do? Like, oh, I'm a professor. And it's like, you just kind of, it's kind of you do. It's like, I've written books. It's like, you just share different pieces in different ways. And I think this is the human condition. Like, we are multifaceted. You're not just one thing. And it's very important to just kind of use all those different parts of who you are at different times and in different ways.
And I think that that's like the crux of this whole conversation, that is that Powerhouse love isn't all about titles. It's actually about the depth of the connection that you have with this man. And 1 + 1 = 3. When you both are getting together, he's making up for some of your weaknesses, and vice versa. And when you both are together, you're supporting each other on this mission together called life. And when you both are together, so much better than the sum of each part. And so for those who are listening, and if you're struggling in this area and you're trying to get out there, find love after 50, Gary and I put together an amazing resource I think that could be really, really helpful for all of you. It's a special secret webinar. And it is really a secret because we don't release this to a lot of people, mostly on the podcast. If you go to lonelytolove.com, we're going to reveal a step-by-step. It's a seminar that Gary and I put together. It's going to show you the 7 simple steps to finding love after 50. So this is specifically for the crowd who's getting out there. You're at over 50. It's going to really help you out a lot. We don't want you to have to play games, have any guesswork or any ghosting. And we really dive deep into this strategy that you can use to find the love that you truly deserve. So again, that's lonelytolove.com. You're going to enjoy that. Grab that glass of wine, sit through that seminar, and I think you're going to get a lot from it.
Yeah. And so, you know, we were just saying, people focus on work a lot. It's unavoidable. It's one of the most unavoidable topics of a dating conversation. And so one of the strategies you need to arm yourself with is am I going to talk about work the right way? And so what we want to suggest is really focusing on mission and values over title. And so there's a story that I heard recently that I think shows this really well. And so as the story goes, a traveler approaches 3 stonecutters working on a construction site and asks each of them, "What are you doing?" And so the first stonecutter says, "I'm cutting stone." Like, what's it look like I'm doing? The second stonecutter says, "Oh, I'm building a wall." And then he walks a little bit further and he talks to the third stonecutter, and keep in mind, they're all doing the exact same thing. And the third stonecutter looks at him and smiles proudly and says, I'm building a cathedral. And I think this is, I don't know, like this is like one of those like little anecdotes I heard that is just like an aha moment for me, because it's all about making people and seeing it yourself, the true purpose, the true mission behind what you're doing. Because we all have things in our jobs, in our careers that are just like, what are you doing? I am cutting stone. Like I'm cutting stone.
Podcast.
Yeah. It's like, it's like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm recording, I'm right. It's like, okay, no. Like for yourself. And so when a guy says, what do you do? Be the third stonecutter. Be the third person who kind of zooms out and sees the broader implications, the mission that actually drives you. And for a lot of people, that thing that drives you, that mission is profound and it's super interesting. And so not only do you want to do this for yourself when you describe what you do, and this allows you to avoid saying I'm the VP of sales, but that person's the VP of sales, like whatever they're selling, there's probably a broader implication to the benefits of that thing. And so sometimes it's like healthcare related. It's like, I help people problem solve cancer solutions for their dying relatives. That's very different than saying you're the VP of sales, but it's literally the exact same thing. So not only do you want to do this for yourself, but keep this thing in mind too when you're asking him about what he does. Get away from the stone cutting and get toward the cathedral building.
Yeah. I mean, you can do this with any profession and simply just ask them why they do what they do, right? And I remember I played golf with my accountant the other day. I mean, how just cliche can it be turning 40 with my gray hair playing golf with my accountant? I've known him since I'm like 10 years old, but we were talking about what he does. And Gary, as you know, I literally find accountants to be just like the dregs of society.
Don't sugarcoat it, man. Don't sugarcoat it.
That's the worst profession you could ever have, ever. I can't stand accounting, credit, debits, you name it. Just makes me want to go.
Your words, not mine. I find them
my words. But we were talking about it, and he was talking about his work and everything. But one thing he said that relates to this is, I just love helping small businesses thrive and helping business owners live the life that they want to live. And that one struck me. I'm like, you know what? I hate accountants just a little bit less. Just a little bit less now, because it's true. Like it's a necessary evil. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Now I'm going really strong. It's a necessary part of business, and I'm being playful, everyone. If you're an accountant, you're okay. But it really is a necessary part of the world, and it's all about the framing. And that's why here at Love Strategies, years ago, I was like, hey, we're executive love coaches. We help women in their love life. But now the team has grown to over 30 people across the organization. And our mission is empowering humanity to thrive in healthy, loving relationships. Like that gets the butterflies in the belly. And that really is what every single person in our organization is here to do. We're on the same mission. We have the same value system. And if we can apply that to your love life, whatever it is that is part of your mission in life, suddenly now it just becomes so much bigger and broader. And that is the core of what drives you. So taking a minute to really reflect on that is going to allow you not only to project that in conversation, but also get to the heart of his why. Why is it that he does what he does? And by the way, a little asterisk here, if he can't explain a why, if he's just like, yeah, it's just a job, just pays the bills, that tells you a lot about him. That tells you a lot about his character and how deep he really can go.
Yeah, it tells you how thoughtful he is, or in that case, isn't, right? And I think that's, for many of our clients, one of the things they're really looking for is a thinker, a guy who's connected to his emotions, emotionally intelligent. And so when you have those qualities, you have a why, like you have a deeper sense of mission. And I'll just say in defense of accountants, I love accountants. And the funniest thing is we have so many clients that are accountants despite your love of accountants. And they all joke about it. Yeah, I know Adam, he jokes about accountants all the time, but so they get that you're being playful about it too.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about how I really feel.
Yeah, maybe say less, man. Say less.
Maybe don't. Maybe
no. So much of like getting to the why and asking about, what someone's mission is and being that third stonecutter and asking about those types of things is The last key to Powerhouse Love is with your partner, try to see things that others don't. And I like to think about this as try to give compliments that are about 2 layers deep, because the people you're going to be dating, they're going to be successful people. Like these guys are going to have things. They're not going to be lacking in confidence in many ways. And so they're going to have their thing. They're going to have their go-to quality. Maybe it's their humor, their charisma, his looks, sense of style, work ethic. Maybe it's something financial, wealth, charm, whatever. Like there's just some obvious things. And so you can on a first date say, wow, you have a really nice smile. Wow, you're so handsome. You're successful. You can say all that stuff. Here's the thing. Everyone tells him those things. Every woman he's ever dated has commented on all these obvious things. Don't be that woman. The bonus is find something that he values that people don't notice because they're so busy paying attention to the shiny object stuff. Go 2 levels deep. So compliment him on his sensitivity, his generosity, his ability to be calm under pressure, his deep thinking, his care for others, or just simply his good character. Because he cares about all those things too. And what he really wants is someone who sees him for those things, because that's the parts of himself he really values. And it's an insight into just how people work. We are all very superficial in a lot of ways. And I don't necessarily mean that in a negative or pejorative sense. We go for the low hanging fruit. It's like what's most obvious. But in conversation, if you can really get to those second level types of things, that's where connection really takes root.
Definitely. And to your point that you always say, give what you want to get. Doing this is going to incentivize him to respond in a deeper way. You're probably not, if you say, wow, I just want to say something I've noticed about you is that you seem to really care for others and you have great character. He's not going to respond and be like, and yeah, you're so hot. Like he's gonna lean into the vibe of the conversation and it kind of just starts a new vibration. Like, and if he does, by the way, if he responds to that with you're so hot, next. So, yeah, give what you want to get, go deeper. And, at the end of the day, Powerhouse Love is about everything we just discussed, which is the true connection between 2 humans that are getting to know each other on a deep emotional level. So, Gary, this is a really fun one. And with all that said, if you are looking to attract that powerhouse love, you're a powerhouse woman, you've made it through this podcast, I would love to offer you something that can really help you in your love life, which is heading on over to loveapply.com. And this is where you can apply for a complimentary love strategy session. You're going to jump on with someone on my team, a trained love strategist, trained by me in particular, who's going to walk you through this process of understanding exactly what it is might be holding you back in your unique situation for finding this powerhouse love, and then walking you through a process through our coaching and our program, if you're fit, to finding that love. And regardless of whether you want to work with us, this conversation can be extremely enlightening. And if you do end up working with us, it might just be the most important step you've ever taken. Frankly, I'll make the big statement, in your life. It can be one of the most important decisions you ever make, is actually jumping on that call, working with someone on our team. So again, that's loveapply.com. Gary, this was a great one. Ladies, enjoy. I hope you get out there, find that love that you truly deserve. Gary, talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Adam.